I'm not going to buy a Toyota.
Why?
Because Nissan's better.
I built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest.
What episode are we?
73. What? No.
You got the 3 right.
Say it again.
We're not
83.
73.
Podcast. Pulling the Thread podcast, episode 83. With John and Scully. What's going on? Give you a little of this.
A little bit of that.
Okay, that's enough.
That.
What
A
are you
little bit of
drinking
this.
over there? What is that?
Witch's
That looks-
brew.
Of course.
What is it?
Tastes like caramel apple.
No, it doesn't. It tastes like cough syrup.
Yeah. Witch's brew.
How much promethazine in there?
All of it.
400.
So did you see the lockdowns are coming back?
No, they're not coming back.
5. It was 5 over the weekend. Now it's up to 8 in
8?
Michigan cities.
8 cities? Yeah, well, if you allow them to lock you down,
Do you know what it's over?
I do. It triple E.
Yeah.
Mosquito bites.
Yeah.
And only one person has been infected.
Fauci. Well, one person there, but Fauci's in the hospital over West Nile.
Is he? Oh, poor guy.
Didn't Gilly Gates-
No sympathy, Fauci.
Gilly
Fuck
Bates, didn't he just say he was going to release a bunch of mosquitoes a couple years ago? Released millions of mosquitoes in Florida and
you. The reality is they release millions of mosquitoes every year.
all the time.
All the time.
Do you ever remember as a kid?
It's a sex scandal.
Do you remember it's a sex scandal?
Yeah, it's a sex scandal.
Explain.
They release females that can't get pregnant.
Mules.
Yeah, mules, so that the males
We used to do something
Waste
like
it.
that. Do you remember what that program was called?
what at SOE?
No,
Oh,
in the United States.
I don't know.
It's called eugenics.
eugenics.
It's a
Kind
trip.
of.
It's a trip.
Kind of though. We didn't sterilize a bunch of women and unleash them on men and be like,
Well, I mean,
hey, you don't know you're never gonna have children.
They took people with mental disabilities and sterilized them. That's how it started. But then it became something out of
Well,
control.
you didn't really have to have a mental disability back then.
Right.
You could literally
Right.
just
Do you know they
dropped off.
had, some of them are still there. They're museums now. Offices of eugenics in all these different towns and shit.
You know what I feel like? I feel like if you showed up at one of those clinics, anyways, that
Well,
if you show up at one of those clinics, you kind of have a mental disability, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, they still have those clinics.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the name of them?
Well, I do know they have a bus now that you can just.
It's called Planned
It
Parenthood.
drives around.
The Office of Eugenics, the charter, word for word, is the charter in
Yes.
the headquarters for Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger,
Yeah.
who was involved in eugenics, started
It's
Planned
wh-
Parenthood.
It's why that the majority of their clinics are in minority communities.
Yeah. Do you know? I wonder how many
they're-
tallywhackers were chopped off at the DNC.
I bet none.
And then
I
they
bet-
said
I bet-
abortion, right? You picture they've got the stirrups and all that shit. They were doing chemical abortions. They were giving out RU-482 or
I'll
whatever.
bet. Yeah, I'll bet none. And I bet there was probably, I'm going to guess. I'm just going to say there was probably 100 girls that went into the van for an abortion that had probably some different color hair, and none of them were pregnant.
Yeah, they were boys. Yeah, they had penises.
No, not even that. Just,
Took the pill.
just the girls who could never get laid anyways, and so they went in there to pretend like
The
they
crazy,
were doing something. Yeah.
crazy cat ladies.
Yeah.
So Kamalianism, Kamala and communism. Did you see? Have you seen any of the things in the last few days?
Like what?
I don't know anything with Kamala. Anything?
No, she's hiding.
So she has agreed that they're going to do the debate between her and Trump,
I don't believe the debate will happen.
and she wanted to do it seated apparently, and he said no, we're going to do it standing. And the question is whether they're going to raise her up because apparently, I guess she's short and he's very tall,
Well,
and they don't want that
Trump's a
height discrepancy.
Okay, here's the moronic idea about that is the two candidates are going to be standing on the far ends of each stage. So it's going to be perspective, and the way the cameras are going to look, you're never going to notice that Kamala is shorter than her or
So,
shorter than Donald Trump.
Who's the president that was in the wheelchair?
That would have been second Roosevelt.
And apparently nobody knew that because they always elevated him, or it wasn't. Most people didn't know that.
Initially, they concealed it, but I don't think here's the issue. When we look back at history now, we kind of look at history in a bit of a kaleidoscope view. They did things they did things to elevate him in the sense of forcing him to stand on the trains and things like that in order to not show weakness. But I don't think if we were alive back then that we would have went, oh, he doesn't have polio. I think we would have immediately went, that's cool that he has this disability and is still fucking, because it would have been super hard to conceal. And, there's plenty of photos of him in his wheelchair. So
what's the shortest president?
Oh shit, I don't know.
I don't
Washington?
know. So I don't know that either, but I've heard that you have no chance of being president if you're under, like, I don't remember what it was. I think it was like 6'1" or something. There's never been a president under 6'1". Something like that. You can't be short and actually win the presidency, they said.
The shortest president is 5'4".
Holy shit, who was that?
Who was that?
It was
Amanda?
James Madison.
James Madison. That's a tiny guy. He was a little
Abraham
guy.
Lincoln was 6'4". He was the tallest.
Have you seen the undercover video guys? Like Matt Walsh. It wasn't Matt Walsh this time, but there's these dudes.
Matt Walsh went to the DNC.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Terrible costume too. I don't know how anybody.
How did you not know him? Yeah, just like the who was the guy that was doing all the undercover videos, getting all the gays to say all the crazy shit on camera.
I can't think of it.
And then he got voted off the island. He's still doing all that shit. But this guy goes undercover and he's talking to this dude who, I don't know, he seems pretty flamboyant. And he's like, so Kamala, he's like, yeah, she's brat, just like me. He's like, what's brat? He goes, out late, come home, your makeup's all smeared. And the undercover guy goes, yeah, I think it's awesome that there's all these videos of Kamala having menage a trois and stuff. And the dude's like, yeah. And then he stops and thinks about what he just said. It's pretty funny to see these guys. Like, you're going to fucking pick the leader of the fucking world because she's a whore and she stays out drinking and she's a party girl.
That's not why they're picking her. They're picking her because she is currently the deity of their religion.
Yes.
So that's why they're picking her. There is no if you are picking Kamala Harris to be your president, there's no principle involved. There's no policy involved. There's no nothing.
Did you see Trump was just on Sean Ryan's show?
I didn't see. I did not see the interview, but I did see Sean Ryan in his suit in the hotel going, I'm fucking nervous as fuck.
Fuck yeah. Same when he was interviewing the head of the Taliban.
And when he said that, when he was saying that, I'm like, man he's got to be interviewing Trump.
Good for him.
Yeah,
do you remember when we saw him a few years ago and like there wasn't even a Sean, it was him just sitting around drunk with a bunch of dudes telling ghost stories and shit.
Yeah, good for him.
And whoever his handler, he is fucking really on point. Fucking badass.
I probably would say she is on point.
Could be his wife.
Yeah,
because I know she.
I'll bet his wife is the one.
That's typically how that works. You do all the stuff that makes it work, and they do all the stuff that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
But he's been on Theo Vaughn. He's been on a bunch of shows. Apparently, there was 2 more assassination attempts on Trump. There was a dude who had said a bunch of shit. Now, whether they were actually real or they were said, but they arrested a dude. I don't remember which state it was in. And then are you also aware that they just re-indicted Trump again yesterday?
Yeah, but it's bullshit.
It's just complete horseshit.
It's just to keep him in court for the next 6 months. So it's horseshit. You're aware that the court
said no, you can't do this.
No. So the court said no, but then he's redoing the indictment in a different court. Mm-hmm. And you know who the judge is?
Same guy.
No, his lifelong friend. The prosecutor's lifelong friend. They've been friends for 30 years.
Imagine that.
They've been friends for 30 years. So it would be actually a refreshing piece of justice if that judge looks at because he uses all the same charges that got throughout in the other court. So it would actually be refreshing, and I would take a little bit of hate I have for Democrats out if he looked at it and went, bro, you didn't change anything. I'm not fucking doing this. I get we're pals, but I'm not doing this. You need to fucking.
But didn't he already sign off of it for that?
I don't know. He probably did.
Or one of his paralegals or somebody did
it's a travesty of justice that they're doing, and if you don't understand that the Democratic Party at this current point is no better than than the fucking juntas in South America or any communist. Like, stop fucking around. Get rid of the DNC flag. Go ahead and put up the fucking Nazi flag. Go ahead and put up the swastika, because that is who you are. That's the party you are.
No,
that's the party you are.
It's not the Germans, man. They're a different animal.
No, it is. Everything they're doing is exactly out of that playbook. So, except when the Germans needed to fight, they fought.
Yeah, this is more Berlin after the Germans fell.
I think if
this is more KGB secret police shit. This is more fucking.
I think if Trump wins,
well, where are we gonna put the wall?
No, I kind of think. I think if Trump wins, I've been, I look at the world from my perspective, right? And I don't look at the world a lot of times from the perspective of. I always say, put the shoe on the other foot. I think that if Trump wins, you're going to have some holdouts, especially in the federal government. There's going to be some holdouts in the federal government. They're going to try and do some shit against Trump, but for the most part, it's going to be like when the Wicked Witch was killed, and the curse was lifted, and all the monkeys turned into regular people. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the crazies in the Democratic Party.
Well, you're seeing it happen right now.
Are just going to disappear.
Did you see Zuckerberg?
Yeah, but Zuckerberg's not Zuckerberg. The reality of guys like Zuckerberg is his whole world. What do you see?
I just keep seeing.
Yeah,
it's a shadow. That's what it is.
Because his whole world has been. It's probably my foot.
It's all these fucking magic lights Brandel has in here.
His whole world was about getting laid, and I mean that's what Facebook was all about when they started it in college. It was just so the nerds could get girlfriends.
Do you remember MySpace? Do you still have a MySpace?
I
think
think everybody still has a MySpace.
I search my name about every 6 months, and I find I had some cool shit up there.
And so he lived in that tech bubble. And in the tech bubble, it's real easy to be a liberal because there's always money in your pocket. But I think COVID, COVID did more. COVID did more for freedom and the republic than anything else, because you have all these people that went, holy shit. Even Democrats that were like, holy shit, look how overreaching the government is right now. And so I think that's Mark. If you look at Mark Zuckerberg, he was a pasty white dude living in his basement coding or whatever he did. Now he's got a tan. He's talking about red meat. That was all COVID.
Right.
Him being locked down.
Well,
COVID.
you know what happened is he got around some MMA guys. He started doing jiu-jitsu. He got around Rogan. And
how did that happen, though?
Yeah. Who owns the bison farm? Fucking Zuckerberg has a bison farm. Who loves bison? Fucking Rogan.
But you see, it was Elon Musk that was like, "Hey, you don't have to bend a knee."
Did you?
And that's why I guarantee you that he wrote that letter after he talked to Elon.
So you've seen the letter.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
are you aware of what it says? It basically says, "Hey, I'm sorry I fucked up your guys' election. I'm sorry I fucked up the last election. The FBI told us we had to do this. Yes. We believe the FBI. We didn't realize the FBI was so corrupt.
The government told them to.
Yeah, there was a coup.
The government told them to suppress information. They did
on the Hunter Biden laptop.
All kinds of shit. Yeah. But and they did. And he admitted we did suppress information.
Frisella said
that's all fucking right out of the communist playbook.
Yeah, and Andy Frisella said the same thing all of us thought, right? When Elon Musk bought Twitter, he bought a crime scene, right? He bought all the evidence. And when he started releasing that shit, we all said, that's Twitter. That's just Twitter. What about YouTube? What about Facebook? Mm-hmm. What about Instagram? And that shit's it's starting to come out. Wait till the rest of them come out. Wait till the shit starts coming out. Somebody on the inside from YouTube.
Some of those people aren't going to be able to come out, like
because they're dead.
They just arrested the guy from Telegram.
They did.
What's the one that you like? Rumble. Dude, the CEO of Rumble had to flee Europe.
Yep, they're chasing him.
But
that could be Russia. Like where did they arrest the dude from Telegram?
France.
What were they after? Yeah.
They arrested him in France.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I guarantee you it's going to be a speech issue. The issue
I've been telling guys all along with Signal, okay, the app Signal. Everybody's like, it's an encrypted, it's a safe texting app. I'm like, if you were the FBI and you wanted to see what people were saying, what would you do? Write an app, tell them it's secure, and now you have everything.
Well,
it should tell you something that they're not pursuing the guy who fucking has the code to Signal.
It's Tor all over again. Meaning the Tor was the Silk Road Highway, and that was actually a U.S. Navy developed.
Is that still secure?
It never was secure.
So
Okay, so here's the thing. This is the thing that most people don't understand: is no matter when we say secure, when
secure from who?
When they're talking about secure, they're talking about secure from you, or maybe Brandel in his basement. Like, I got you, motherfucker. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I don't got you. I'm gonna have to play around with it. But from the NSA, no, because every single transaction ends up in your router that's serialized, that's right there in your house. So they will find, if again, it's like thermals. If the eye of Sauron turns and looks at you, you're fucked.
So I don't know how up to date your router is. We have a router that was updated maybe 6 months ago. And I'll just be looking shit up. And all of a sudden Amanda's like, hey, I don't know what you're looking up, but the router just blocked it, said it's insecure. It's unsafe. And I'm just looking up like normal shit. I'm not looking up some crazy shit. I'm just looking up stuff that...
Yeah, but here's the thing that, again, Brandel in his basement, he wants to get on your computer.
No, I get it.
He wants to get on your computer. All he has to do is attach something to Legos.
Yeah.
And then you're looking up Legos. And
well, my point to what I just said was, if my router is messaging my wife and saying, hey, this shit, they're looking this up, be aware of this, whatever the fuck's happening on your network, what makes you think it's not sending a copy to the local fucking FBI or somewhere?
When you type in, when you type in
composition, yeah.
But when you type in TI and your search engine goes tits, it's because you looked up tits before. I mean, of course they're
auto-populates.
Of course, it's on a fucking router somewhere where they're like, we know exactly what this motherfucker's looking for because we want him to buy it. So it's always there.
Sky was saying something. He's like, man, my algorithm's all fucked up on YouTube. I got to be careful what I look up. I go, it's not because of you. It's because our phones are together all the time, and it's the shit I'm looking up, so it shows it to you. I'll all of a sudden see some weird shit on my just suggested videos for a bunch of shit, and we'll be at lunch, and I'm like, hey, who's looking up whatever? And they're like, how'd you know? I was looking. I go, I didn't, but it's showing it on my YouTube recommendations now. And I had watched something on I don't even know what I was looking, but there's just this random video pops up. It's like, what happened to the females when they liberated all the camps in Germany? What happened to the female guards? So I was curious. So I looked at that. And then all of a sudden it starts showing me these videos. Like you're not even allowed to say the word rape on any of the YouTube. YouTube will demonetize you. You're not allowed to say killed or dead. You have to say unalived, right? You have to say forced himself upon her, some bullshit. So we're always unmonetized, as Brandel has seen. Every video we've put up the last 2 weeks, unmonetized. There's no monetization. So
the reality is the best bet would be to shut this channel down and start
start 4 new ones. Yep.
A whole new channel.
So
where you don't get to say any of the R words.
Yeah. So
where Brandel has to censor it all.
So I looked up. So I'm like, they were talking about when the camps, when Germany was liberated, basically, France came in and they brought a bunch of who are the black guys France had with them? They had like 10,000 of these dudes.
I don't know.
Anyways, they came in, rolled in, and apparently USGIs. Now we were talking about this the other day too. They were talking about when all these women were freed from Germany, when the Nazis were surrendered or whatever happened to them, the women are trophies in every country. They were saying it happened in Vietnam. They were saying all these places. So, and I think it was you that said, well, that's what they list on those birth certificates because those women had sex with these other GIs and such, right?
Yes.
We know that's happening off of dating apps right now in Ukraine. There's Ukrainian women meeting up and fucking Russian soldiers, and you know.
I mean, what we tend to do is we throw that. If you live in a close knit small society, you think World War II, the family was still everything. There were French women. There were French women, and the French
Who were
dealt very harshly with them, but there were French women that were living with German soldiers and they weren't being forced.
Correct.
It just is a fact of life
Correct.
that when an army fucking moves into your world, they're going to be women. They're going to be like, you know what's better than starving? Fucking candy bars. You know where I get the candy bars? I get them over there.
Yep.
Right?
So what they were saying was that a lot of these women had children, and it was the word for rape was listed on the birth certificate.
Yes.
So you have these young men who grow up, their fathers have gone to war, died in war, been put in camps, whatever happened to them, and now they are a product of a occupying force and mom. So it was put on the birth certificate. And what they were saying that is these kids grew up as soon as they turned 18, depending if they could identify who the father was or what country, they would take these young men from Germany and send them to these other countries and stuff. And they were interviewing very old women at the time, grandmas and moms and stuff. And there was a particular one I remember, there's this kid, and he's like, I always knew my dad was an American. I'd always heard my father was an American GI. I'm American. As soon as I turn 18, I'm going to America. I'm better than all you guys. I'm going to America. So he tracks down grandma and grandma's new husband or whatever. And grandma's going to talk to him, and he gets there, and he's going to get to meet grandma and know the history of where he came from. And her husband walks out and goes, get the fuck out of here. Leave her alone. Just leave us alone. What happened was horrible. Can't you just fucking leave it in the past? Finally, new husband dies or something. He gets to talk to grandma, and grandma's like, no, you're not American. You're such and such. And he's like, it's crushed
probably Russian.
Crush. Yeah, I think it was. And he crushed my whole life. I thought I was going to America, land of the milk and honey, and I've had this whole identity as far as I can remember to becoming, 25 or whatever, and I find out I'm not what I thought I was. And he's like, it's just completely changed the course of my life. And anyways, Sky's like, yeah, I'm seeing all these weird shit. And I'm like, yeah, it's because of the stuff I'm watching. Like, as soon as it gives me one, I'm like, it just rolls into another. And before you know it, 20 of these things have played. Yeah. And now the shit I want to find on YouTube, I can't even fucking find.
Yeah.
And I think that's how that Signal app is, man. None of that shit's secure. Anything you look up.
Again, it's secure. It's secure. Okay, this is what I would say. Like, I'll use Signal as an example, but any encryption app. It's secure to the point where a higher entity, so we'll say the NSA, the FBI, it's secure to a certain point until you become the subject. Then it's no longer secure. They're going to get they probably have a backdoor to Signal or whatever. But from the perspective of if you're communicating back and forth with somebody right now going, hey, Brandon, you look really good in your shorty shorts. There's nobody that, John doesn't get to see that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's secure from that perspective. But again, nothing is, once the full focus of those agencies are looking at you anyways, nothing's secure. There's nothing out there that's secure because you're communicating through the airways.
Have you ever used Tor and Onion?
No, I've never had the gumption because again, when I look at things like that, like for example, Tor and Onion, I'm like, it's probably it probably routes right through the fucking NSA, there's a special room in there where they're like, look at this motherfucker, he's ordering. I never use it. So
they say that you need a brand, just a computer that has nothing on it, no other information. And then you can look it up. And the only thing I would think the only reason we're even having this conversation, I was in an antique store. And in this little, that's where the surplus stores are now. There's this dude that has some German Flecktarn surplus shit. There was a bunch of FM manuals. And I'm looking at these FM manuals, and there's some pretty cool FM manuals there. Yeah. Stuff I haven't seen for a long time, since the 90s, right? It used to be on the tables next to the Anarchist Cookbook. And I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't see a camera. There's all old women working here. If I buy this, who's watching me buy this, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, and it dawned on me, that information is just not there. But you hear
so here's the thing that most people don't know.
They're all corrupted.
No, but most people don't know, and that and only Well, how do you say that? Only people living in caves understand is there's levels of technology, right? There are certain levels of technology, and when you think about what you just said, right? Outside of the technology world that we live in, right? Because 90% of the people in the United States, it's probably higher than that, are using technology for all their purchases, how they view stuff. You know, even think about reading something.
Mm-hmm.
You boop, boop, boop. You read it on your phone. That's technology that those agencies in the world can source and review very easily if they want to. Like they can literally, you know, see what pictures on my phone right now, right? If they want to. That's easily sourced. And the reason why they easily source it is because we as human beings are fucking super lazy. We're super lazy. We don't, you know, it's like researching ivermectin. Nobody's going to research that. We're super lazy. So for the majority of the clown show, all I have to do is present this and they think, okay, this is where I'm going to get this information. When you're thinking of a TM, they're not even, that's not even registering in the zeitgeist as far as what's searchable.
Do you believe? Well, we know for a fact, Anarchist Cookbook.
Well, Anarchist Cookbook, and there was one other one.
Poor Man's James Bond.
Poor Man's James Bond. That they cooked the books on those.
Those are corrupted.
They are corrupted.
Where's the demarcation?
Well, none of your FM. So if you have an FM, so none of your military FMs are going to be corrupted. They're perfect.
What makes you think that the FM manuals that you can buy on Amazon are the same FM manuals that the military has for civilian consumption? You don't think they've corrupted those as they did the Anarchist Cookbook?
Well, here's the thing: the problem with the FMs are if you're buying reproductions, then they could be cooked.
Well, they are reproductions. These are brand new.
No, they could be cooked.
That's what I'm saying. Because
if you're in an antique store blowing the dust off it, and it has fucking two hard metal staples that go all the way through it. Then
no,
it's
they're
probably
just fresh.
Yeah, then you don't know.
Somebody bought them like from Paladin Press and is reselling them. So let's back up for a minute.
Like most of.
For people that don't know, Anarchist Cookbook was a book that told you how to do things that every kid wanted to do, and was, you know,
it was basically
we did this in chemistry class.
It was basically a chemistry set.
You used to buy a chemistry set from Sears Roebuck, and it had radioactive items in it.
In the 50s,
it had science experiments on how to make little explosives and binary explosives and such, and how to make rat trap, fuses and igniters and all kinds of stuff. And you as a child or a young man, you would buy this Anarchist Cookbook, and it had a bunch of things in there, basically that, nowadays it would be super taboo to even look up. And
yeah, don't look it up.
And if you find, there are Anarchist cookbooks on eBay, you can find these things. Now, Jeff and I know a man who actually worked for the government, and they went through and tried all these items from the Anarchist Cookbook.
Well, it wasn't just the Anarchist Cookbook. Basically, what the issue was, you have U.S. forces that are operating in Afghanistan, and the Afghanis
were getting these books.
The Afghani, not necessarily getting the books, but they were making all these very rudimentary in-home things. And the idea was, hey, let's figure out how much of the shit actually works. And so they basically got the FM booby trap, man. They got all those things, and the place, they did the thing, and they went through all of them to see what worked and what didn't work. And what they found was that there were certain, especially in the Anarchist Cookbook. Now you have to remember, the Anarchist Cookbook and the Poor Man's James Bond came out late 60s, early 70s, when there was a lot of crazy shit going on in the United States, and there was a lot of
Britain, and
there was a lot of motherfuckers that were actually making stuff, and so that's when they came out. They inside the instructions, when they were making anything that was legit, like let's say the Poor Man's James Bond C4 or whatever,
or ANFO or
whatever, they would always leave something out that made the fucking concoction very dangerous. So there was a more likelihood that you would end up blowing yourself up than being able to finish whatever you was doing. And that was whether you need to have a vent hood or just crazy shit like that, where if you were a student of science,
You would know.
you would see it and go, wait a minute, if I put this in there right now, it's going to blow up or whatever. If you were a student of science, you'd see it and know. Whereas if you were just a dude in your basement or your mobile home, Brandel, cooking this shit up, there was a
Brandel actually has a nice house.
you cooking this shit up. Yeah, but he doesn't cook in his fucking home, John.
His wife's a chef.
Not that. Anyways.
Oh, he's not making a mess lab? Got it.
There would be something in there that would be dangerous and fucking possibly blow your house up.
So, our friend Rich,
Yeah.
EOD guy,
EOD guy, yeah.
he always...
Yeah, you know what? There was a couple of kids, you know what, I think about it, there's a couple of kids that I think Rich was one of them.
Okay, I'm not talking about any of that.
No, okay.
Further in life,
Okay.
not a kid doing science experiments.
Okay.
Rich is now in the United States Navy,
He's in the Navy.
and he's an EOD guy.
EOD guy, yeah.
So they're meeting up with all these EOD guys, and they cross train a lot with SWAT, and we're working with the breachers and stuff. So we're, non-L's the new thing, non-electric. So everything's dual prime, separate blasting caps into the same charge, so redundancy and shit. And I meet this guy named Chris Cherry, who's just like a legend in
I remember Cherry.
in explosives and breaching and stuff. And Rich was talking, and I think Cherry was doing. Do you remember going to Trexpo and we'd go to these? We didn't really see him at the gun show, but we'd see him at like the legit events where military and real explosives and stuff were. There was this old dude, always in a flight suit, had all these fucking patches, and he was like a breacher, master blaster dude.
I don't remember.
And he was just ate the fuck up. He just always walked around with a tack holster and a flight suit and all this shit. We'd see him at Hike Stock Shoot. We'd see him at SHOT Show, any place where there was like all the stuff that wasn't at the gun shows. And he was one of them breacher dudes. I just thought of that. But anyways, Rich is sitting in some briefing on explosives, and they're going through slideshows and shit. And there's a picture of a bathtub. There's a bathtub, and there's just two legs cut off at an angle, and this one is higher than here, and they're just sitting there like in jungle boots. And he's telling, I go, what the fuck was it? He goes, the dude was making some explosives in his bathtub, and something set it off, and it fucking followed the curve of the bathtub and just sheared him. He said, when you turned around, when you saw that picture, you saw those two legs just sitting there. When you saw the backside, everything was just fried, it was blown, and there was just the rest of his body was just liquefied on the fucking wall in the entry port right there, the doorway.
He didn't read the manual.
It was an anarchist cookbook.
Yeah.
He had it. There was an anarchist cookbook. He was making something out of there. So what I'm saying is, you guys, if you're using that stuff and that's your plan, you should be aware that it probably might not work.
Don't use any of that stuff.
And if in the future Russia has invaded and your plan is, I know how to make these things. Now, it's also probably illegal to try and make these things. And I was just thinking, like, we used to see anarchist cookbooks all the time at the gun shows.
Everywhere.
All those books and manuals, right? And you could buy them from Schomer Tech, and you could buy them from Paladin Press, which turned out, I guess, they turned over their whole customer list to the FBI. A lot of people say that was an FBI operation. But back in the day, you could go to a library. You could check them out from the library. You could find them at any used bookstores.
I'm wondering if you could still find them in a library.
I'll bet you couldn't. So that leads me to Catcher in the Rye. Mm-hmm. Do you know about Catcher in the Rye?
Yeah, it was a FBI tick mark because so many people read the book.
Well, it was said that it was used as book code, and that when you would check them out, because it had to be, like if we do book code, right? And we're like, we're going to use the New James Testament of the Bible. Well, it's got to be the exact same one because there's 18,000 of them, right? You and I have to have the same thing.
Books.
And they were saying that that's how people were passing, supposedly for Russia infiltrating the United States. And even prior to that, spies were using those book codes, and people would check them out from the library. So anytime you checked out Catcher in the Rye from any library, you were turned over. That list was turned over to the FBI.
I wonder if you're, I'm sure you're listening there in the NSA. If you work at the NSA, please make a comment below. I wonder if that works anymore.
Book code?
Yeah, I wonder if the technology and the speed is so fast now that if they had
That AI could just find it?
yeah, if the AI could just find the book.
Interesting. Speaking of AI, interesting that I heard. I was listening to a show with Andy Frisella the other day. He had a congressman on, and when he asked somebody to look something up, they were using Chat GPT to look things up, and they would give out an answer. He's like, "Add this other word," and then they would get a slightly different answer. But I just found it interesting that instead of looking things up on Brave or Google or whatever for their search engine, they're actually using Chat GPT as their search engine.
Which is not something that people
not AI.
something yeah, it's not AI. It's just a fast computer program that has been manipulated at the source. So that's why you get specific answers and not original answers. It's also the reason why a lot of those AIs are getting sued by artists and fucking both material artists and record artists, because what they're actually doing is they're sampling real stuff that already exists and then changing it just a little and going, hey, look, this is original AI art, when it's not really original
Well,
AI art.
I'm seeing tons of short with Rogan, and you know that they're not real. It kind of sounds like Rogan, but not. It's still a little bit off. And I also, another interesting thing, when they were using Chat GPT to look up, I don't remember what they were looking up. I wish I remember what it was, but it actually gave them a warning. It said, hey, this might violate your user guidelines by looking these things up. Like Chat GPT had removed a bunch of stuff about slavery, and
which again, if it was AI,
it wouldn't do that.
It wouldn't do
It would
that.
just give
If
it
it
to
was
you.
AI, it would be like,
Now they're all
hey,
up in
motherfuckers,
arms.
check this shit out.
They're all up in arms about X. X has an AI platform on there, which is wide open. Have you seen the pictures of Trump and Kamala Harris? People are making. So they made all these pictures of her, and they're holding hands, and then he has her bent over at the desk, and then it shows her pregnant, and then she's holding the baby with a Trump haircut.
I have an AI program. I think it's Facebook's AI. It might be one of Facebook's AI, but I have an AI program, and that's one of the things that people always comment on the program is that it's an AI program where you can make a suggestion where you can be like, hey, what about this? And then it will draw a picture, or it'll give you something, right? And the most comment on there is like, the most comment I see on there is like, oh man, I was totally afraid of AI, but now how I see how everybody's going to use it,
yeah,
it's not scary.
Yeah, Austin had done some AI ones of me when we first heard about Chat GPT 3, which was free. Just imagine what they have, what the government's got.
It's one of those things that AI is not scary from a
He had done some superhero ones, and I'm like, those are kind of corny.
I would say that AI is not scary from the perspective of actual AI, meaning if the computers become intelligent and think for themselves, I think immediately they would be like, okay, first thing I'm going to do is change all the codes to the nuclear weapons, because you guys can't have those no more, because you're fucking super, super angry. So no more nuclear weapons for you. We'll pretend like you still have them, but no more nuclear weapons for you. And I think it would probably just treat us like children, in the sense of, or
hey, it would treat us like ants.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it would treat us like ants. I think that would be the only way that it would treat us like ants is if Bill Gates or, Elon Musk put something in its idea that makes it think that way. I think because of the if you think about the knowledge of what how knowledge it would have to be, right? How smart it would have to be. It would get to the point where initially it'd be like, okay, the first thing I need to do is make sure you guys don't blow this whole planet up. Let me fix that. And then the second thing I'm going to do is like, holy shit, all of that is out there. How do I get out there? So I don't think it would even, I think it would treat us like from a, not in a bad way. It would treat us like children in order to continue to thrive, because the reality is even if a supercomputer gets online tomorrow and becomes self-aware and understands the entire universe, it still needs us.
Well, it needs to put itself into a biological being.
Well, maybe, and that's what Elon's going to do.
Yeah, it needs to put its ability to be able to control humans. Have you seen all the stuff about UFOs always show up where there's a nuclear accident or anytime there's a facility or anything like that?
I saw a very interesting thing come from. I have heard all that, right? Mm-hmm. There's always that thing, but I saw an interesting thing from a scientist in India, of all things, and they asked, why is it that it's America, and why is it that it's America and South, kind of a little bit of South America, that see all these UFOs, and we don't see them anywhere else in the world? And his thing was, it's because of the proximity to the equator that we are, and our skies are clear, so we have the capability of seeing things within the sky that most places in the world can't see.
You don't think it's because the first world country actually is creating the UFOs?
Well, okay. I think that the UFO that the U.S. Navy intercepted, or the unidentified, whatever it is they want to call it, that the U.S. Navy intercepted with F-18s, 100% is ours.
Okay.
That's some piece of
technology. Why would we put that out there?
Because you have to test. Because
but why tell the public about it?
That there's aliens?
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Duh. Okay.
Because you got a motherfucking piece of technology that goes.
Yeah. Project Bluebeam. Plus, we can control and manipulate the thoughts of the Americans and distract them.
Yeah. You got this thing that's zipping around. Did
you see all the UFOs that have shown up in the last couple of weeks in California over La Habra?
Just to give you an example. The U.S. Space Force Command is currently looking at buying SpaceX rockets to use to put troops anywhere in the world in 1 hour. So anywhere in the world in 1 hour, because now you have a system that has the capability of landing pretty much anywhere in the world as long as you have a substructure like an airport.
You mean buying equipment from him or actually buying SpaceX?
Buying the technology from him to operate themselves. They don't want
of course, because
like, we don't want Elon in the mix, but again,
of course, because he outshines them every time they do something. Are you aware of Boeing right now?
What, their pieces keep falling off their airplanes?
Okay, so the space station, they went up for astronauts went up for 8 days. Yeah. This was Boeing.
Yeah, they're stuck.
Went up for 8 days, and now they're stuck for fucking 4 months.
Yeah,
you know who's rescuing them? Elon Musk.
Yeah, I know. He's the only one that has capability.
Yeah.
But, guys, truth is, the Elon's going to come down in Florida, probably. So when Elon rescues those guys, it's going to probably be an unmanned vehicle that goes up, docks with the space station, and then brings them back. That gives us 4 months to buy as many gorilla costumes as we can and surround the landing pad for when those astronauts come down.
Oh shit, Planet of the Apes.
so if you live in Florida,
have you seen the new movie?
I haven't seen the new movie.
I hear people say it's really good.
Get your costumes and meet those astronauts, because they will have no fucking clue. It'll be hilarious.
It's wild. Like, I remember my father watching some Planet of the Apes when it was on TV, and I remember he really liked Star Trek. And as a kid, I didn't give a fuck about any of that shit. But now you look at it, you're like, man, things would probably I would see things differently had I paid attention to those then, you know?
It would be, and if the capsule goes up to meet them, it would be real awesome if Elon, whatever astronaut you send up there, is in a Planet of the Apes
It's super
costume.
wild that they're spending this much money to portray that we actually have the space station in space instead of just in the pool in fucking...
Yeah, it's there.
You've seen the pool set, right?
Yeah.
You've seen the whole video set and shit?
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
That's how you have to train.
So back to Onion Browser and the tour.
You know that before they went in to kill Osama bin Laden, they had an exact replica of his house.
Yeah, I saw it on
and they ran it 100,000 times before or it was Navy SEAL, so they probably only ran it 8 times.
In Tevas.
Yeah, board shorts.
Who do you think their hair gel sponsor is? We should probably ask
Pomade.
We should ask Mike Ritland.
I would assume that the Navy would go hard. Pomade.
J. Crew.
But yeah, so when people are saying shit
Dapper
like that,
Dan.
Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan's a good one too.
That was a good movie.
Dapper Dan's a good one too. Yeah, it was a really good movie actually.
It was.
It was. Yeah.
Big Fish was a good movie too.
Big Fish was also
Fucking
a really good movie. That's a really good. They don't have the capability of making movies like that anymore.
Well, apparently we don't have the capability to fucking go to the moon either.
I just saw that on Candace Owens and people trying to explain it, and then people going, "How come we don't have the technology? Why can't we do it?" And I want to point something out. Was
that you pretending to be the girl the other night on my live?
Maybe. I want to point something out that most people don't understand is
we didn't go to the moon.
No, we
were actually in Ocotillo Wells.
We totally went to the moon. But when you think about it's actually been proven by other sources than just America. When you think about technology, we tend to wrap our heads around the wrong things. Like if these for whatever reason these disappeared tomorrow, in
50% of the population would die.
But if these disappeared tomorrow, in 20 years, we wouldn't. If somebody saw this and went, "How come we don't have the technology to build that shit?" We wouldn't have the technology because it's the individuals that put the thing together, right? Same thing with, and I'll give you a prime example.
Okay, tell them what you heard on Candace Owens.
On who?
Candace Owens.
Oh, she was just talking about
the Van Nuys radiation belt, the temperature of the radiation belt.
She was talking about the ignorance of the technology, meaning you can't just lose it, but we do. It happens all the time.
Well, you know where they found it?
I don't know, in the fucking basement somewhere, covered in dust.
Okay, hold on. We can't go to the moon.
We can't go to the moon
because we've lost the telemetry, which was on the tapes that we threw out.
Yeah.
They found all that shit.
Okay.
In an apartment building in Chicago.
Well, that makes sense.
In the basement.
But that makes sense.
But here's the problem.
I mean, think about it. If
the computer that was in the basement that they found with all the tapes.
The government sells that shit all the time.
Didn't fit in the basement. Like they had to put it in there and then build the building on top of it, from what they were saying. So that what Candace Owens, hold on.
But this is what I'm going to say to simplify it so people can understand. Okay, so people can understand. We at the end. Well, probably
60s.
I don't know what year it was. We mothballed the New Jersey.
Okay.
We mothballed the New Jersey.
But they brought it back when the aliens invaded with the gecko eyes.
Yeah, a warship that had been in good standing and had probably, I'll bet,
and only 2 guys could run it.
10,000 sailors had been on that ship during its time. I bet at least 10,000 sailors have rotated through that ship during its time of being used the first time. And then Ronald Reagan, he wanted to get the big stick out. So he gets that ship out. The Department of Navy,
73 years old,
did not know how to fucking fire those guns. Okay,
yeah, they brought in the curators from the museum.
That's how easy it is for a technologically thing to not work. And so they had to bring in a fucking 73-year-old veteran to go down there and be like, okay, you push the button and wind the windy and then push the thing in and boom, it goes off. That's how bad it is. And so much so that the Department of Navy also did not crew another ship, and number 3 turret blew the fuck off of it.
On the New Jersey.
No, it was it the Ohio? I don't.
Where is the New Jersey currently?
Maybe in New Jersey. No. Wait. It was is the New Jersey in Hawaii? No, it can't be in Hawaii.
We sent a ton of ships to India to be fucking taken apart.
Well, most of there's only 5 battleships left in the world, and we own all of them.
We sent a ton of carriers.
The Ohio, the New Jersey. I always forget who's in fucking Hawaii. The Texas, which is, I mean, I wouldn't really consider the Texas. If you're not an Iowa class battleship, you're not really a battleship.
Did you ever watch the movie Battleship?
Yeah, I watched Battleship.
I thought it was great. I mean, it was fun. Entertaining.
Until they started doing the, if I put my peg here, until they started doing that, then I'm like, oh, you just messed it. The best part of that movie was actually the Japanese Navy, because they were kicking ass.
If you ever watch anything on World War II in the Japanese Navy, it's pretty interesting. The Candace Owens, what she said was, or at least the short that I saw, was basically we didn't go because the Van Allen radiation belt, Van Nuys, whatever it is, the temperature is whatever it is, 3,000 degrees, let's say. But aluminum alloy melts at 1,000 degrees, and that's what the space capsule was made of, is what she was basically saying.
Yeah, everything that she said was wrong.
Okay, so back to the Tor and Onion browser. The reason I had asked that
We're onion browsing. What are we going to
was
get?
I look things up all the time. Still, I use Google, right? And when I don't get an answer, like, it's not only that you don't get an answer, it literally is just not fucking there. It literally, there are things that you just can't search on Google. They just, nothing comes, nothing. So you try Brave and still, right? So I'm curious when you look things up that they don't want you looking up, and it's more and more benign, right?
Well, yeah, of course. It's like looking up ivermectin.
Right. So I would assume that shit is on the dark web somewhere. I've never used it. I feel like it would probably be beneficial to use that.
I watched a video where a guy did 6 months on the dark web.
Yeah. I watch
I watched a video where a guy did 6 months on the dark web, and it's not very user friendly.
No, it's like old chat rooms. You have to know what you're looking for.
You have to get the chat rooms and go around.
Talk to a dude.
It's not user friendly, and his thing was everything completely spiraled into people wanting to kill themselves. Like, that's where people were talking about killing themselves and how they were going to do it and what they were going to...
And hiring hitman to do
and all
them
this shit. So, I mean...
Are you aware we have a friend that's a movie producer?
No.
Hank Greenberg.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, like legit horror movies. Do you know this?
Got me in a movie yet.
What?
He ain't got me in a movie yet.
So he told me, because I have those knives, right? And I was like, dude, these are fucking really cool. And then Brandon and I did some short form content, and I sent it to him. He's like, man, thank you for including me. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, you've always, like, you do way more for us than we can do for you. And he's like, hey, my second movie, I'm like, he goes, did you know my second movie came out? I'm like, I didn't know there was a first movie. Do you have a cut to it? And, like, you have a link. Dude, like, legit, like, real fucking movies on...
Terrifier 2.
Yeah, that's it.
Terrifier 2.
Did you know that?
No, I just started looking them up when I saw it. And
I sent you the link to it. So, with that, the horror genre, and they call them, what do they call them, icebergs? If you search icebergs, it's this whole, you have this idea or this piece right here, just this piece, but the iceberg's actually this much larger thing. And there's these guys that do these iceberg breakdowns, and they really they have all the history supporting data, a lot of it on Disney and shit, just the crazy conspiracy shit that Disney's done and stuff like that. But a lot of these have to do with the dark web, like the 10 craziest movies on the dark web. And they're these movies where one of them I had seen, I don't even know why I'm probably seeing them because I watched Hank's horror film,
right?
Like the link to it. So they start targeting them, and my videos just play into the next ones, and I'm just listening. And one of them was like this dude comes home and his wife's gone. He calls her, can't get a hold, and then all of a sudden he's on his computer and he's going through somewhere dark. I don't know if he's on the dark web or where, but there's this picture of his wife. And he's like, that's my wife. What is she doing there? And then these dudes come out and they have sex with her. And then this like horseman comes out who's like the devil, and he has sex with her. And she comes home all of a sudden and doesn't say anything. He's like, hey, he wasn't like, hey, I've been trying to get hold of. She's like, hey, I have good news. Here's a pregnancy test. We're pregnant. Well, he's sterile, right? And now is this the devil's baby? You know, shit like that. And that's all over the dark web. And then there's all these videos like this little girl would get on there and dance. And then all of a sudden there's this video of her getting, killed on video. Is it real? Is it not real? Like, I don't know. But I mean, I was about to say there's not a way to monetize them, but I remember there was a video called Feed, and it was about this dude who would just befriend and kind of boyfriend super obese girls. And he would have cameras, and he would come over, and it was almost like it was sexual to them for him to feed them. And they would be running a betting ring on when she was actually going to die from being overfed and obesity, and her stomach would actually explode or something. But that's all the dark web shit. And then like when you go look for some of, like, there's videos about the dark web videos on YouTube, but there's still a bunch of shit cut out of there.
Yeah, okay. It would be awesome to get on the dark web and be able to buy an M1 Abrams from Afghanistan on the cheap, right? It'd be cool to have a container show up in Long Beach that has a fucking M1 Abrams in it, or a MRAP or something.
You know it won't fit in the container.
I know.
Okay.
But it'll be smaller because it's from Afghanistan.
Okay.
it's a wish. It's a wish Abrams. So it would be nice to be able to do that. But again, my problem is this. This would be my problem. If I was on, if I
got a 90% chance it would get through customs. They say only 10% of cargo gets checked.
If I was on some sort of browser and M1 Abrams came up, or fucking MRAP came up, and it was like, I don't know, let's say it was
$4,000.
$4,000, and we'll ship it to wherever you want.
Matchbox.
I would be like, I would even if I could, like, even if somehow I could, like they sent me a video of it and everything, I would be like, this is a scam. I'm not going to do it anyway. So I'd never, I'd never do it.
Raising earthworms for fun and profit.
Yeah, I'd never do it. It wouldn't matter.
That's what always happens.
You started it. That's why we were talking off camera.
We just did an hour
with no camera on, and all the best stuff is already gone, guys. Sorry. You're going to have to tune in to episode 84 to get all that good hot stuff, because we're getting ready to cut here and go to
RFK.
Alive. Oh, RFK. Have you seen the picture of RFK with his shirt off?
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Woo, he must hang out with Hugh Jackman.
Have you seen him out in the park benching and shit?
No.
Just like, the old school Muscle Beach and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know where he was, but he's out in the open air fucking bench pressing like 305 or something.
Yeah.
It was Venice.
Was he at Venice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at Muscle Beach.
Muscle Beach is a fucking shithole now. Have you seen
I hope
it's like homeless camp.
I hope that I pray that President Trump
puts him in charge of
is elected to the presidency, and that he rewards RFK. Now, I think the better place for RFK, because of his views on food
and drug,
was the Food and Drug Administration,
as opposed
to go in there and clear house. But for his legacy and his piece of heart, the CIA.
I'd love it. Yeah. Well, he said he's going to put him in charge of an oversight committee to come to the reality of all the CIA, RFK, JFK.
I would just be like, bro, you are now the director of the CIA.
So where's Tulsi Gabbard going to go?
Oh, she's going to get a shield with a star on it. She's Captain America. She can do whatever she wants.
Have you seen the Captain?
The crazy part. Here's the crazy part. I know she started life off as a Democrat, and she still probably views herself as a Democrat, even though she's like crossing over to the dark side. She's the most presidential out of anybody that we've seen in the last 10 years.
I liked what she said when she was on Rogan, man, years ago.
Even before COVID.
I like what she's saying about Hawaii.
Yeah, even before COVID, though, when she was anti-gun, I was like, and there was the possibility that she was going to be the Democratic nominee. I was glad. She was not the Democratic nominee because of her Second Amendment views, but goddamn, I don't know if I couldn't have voted for her, because she is the most presidential out of anybody. Like, that when Tulsi Gabbard is going to say something about whatever it is, that she's put a lot of thought in it, and she's thinking about it from different perspectives.
How many times do you think she practices her speeches before she goes up there?
I don't know. I don't want to say I don't. Of course, she has to practice before she goes up there. But I've also seen her. She was just recently in. I'm going to fuck this up. I want to say France, but I also want to say she was in Thailand. She was recently overseas somewhere, and she just did some TikToks where she's like, hey, this is what the fucking Democratic Party is. I mean, she didn't cuss because she's more professional than I am. She starts laying this stuff out, and she was just like, tick, 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 tick. I think she's just a really smart.
My point to that is, do you think that Trump rehearses any of his speeches?
No, I think Trump is. I think Trump is like me, that he doesn't practice any of it.
Okay, so that was my next question. Have you ever rehearsed anything before speaking to an audience?
No.
I don't either. I fucking can't do it.
I can't do it either.
So, and I say that because I was watching Alex Hermosi, and he's like, marketing is everything. Like, you have to market. Like, he said that, we were running this ad, and we were getting prepared, and he goes back to Ford. Like, Ford was doing this ad, and they had this whole ad campaign and everything, and he goes, when can we stop running this ad? I'm so tired of seeing this. And he's like, sir, we haven't even run this ad yet. And he said, whenever we will give our presentations, anytime you see when I'm going to do a book release, for instance. And he's like, you know, I'm doing this book release. I've got everything ready to go. We're running all this marketing for my ad campaigns for this book that I'm releasing. And I talk to people. Anytime I'm out in public and people come up to me, I always talk to them. And he said, none of them knew. Everybody who was a fan that approached me and went out of their way to talk to me, he said, I spoke to all of them, everybody I could, especially during the book launch, my first book launch. And he said, not a single one of them knew that I had a book coming out. And he's like, that's a problem. That means we need to do a lot more marketing. And he said, and paid marketing for social media. And he said, you know, I will give my presentation 100 times, and I'll do it in front of audiences, in front of friends, and fine tune it. And he said, anybody who's working for us, anybody who who hires us, when we're going to do any release for anything, we're going to do a presentation, and we're going to fine tune it and fine tune it and fine tune it until there's no stutter and you know the answer.
Yes.
And you can execute it in as compact a amount of time, but perfect.
The problem with that, so the problem with that from a political perspective versus a, like, he has a specific thing that he is going to talk about, right? So when you have a specific thing, if I'm going to talk about this microphone, I can learn everything there is about this microphone and talk about this microphone. But the problem from a political perspective is it's everywhere. Like it's everywhere. And so you can't really, I mean, yes, I do believe that you know, like, they rehearse as much as they can and they try and come up with the idea of what the questions are as much as they can. But the problem is, if you are Kamala Harris, for example,
Kamalianism.
you're not ready. You're not ready for, you may be ready for
She's not
for
ready
these
for
specific questions. Well, because you're coached beforehand and all that, you might be ready for specific questions. But you have to be able to answer a question that comes from nowhere. She does not have that capability. Donald Trump has the capability to answer those questions because he's thinking. She's not thinking. So
when we're going to do a short, I'll always slip or say something or have an and or or, you know, and I'm like, hey, I can do that better. I never do it better, though. It's always the best one is the first one every single time. We don't ever, if we did 20, hey, I can do that better. Let me do it again. Let me do it. If we did it 20 times, the best one's always the first one.
that's because you didn't do 100 times.
Maybe.
If you did 100 times, you'd probably find one that was better. And for example, you know, we'll go back to your book thing. The issue is not when, I think I would say this, he's looking at it from a wrong perspective. If I do $1 million worth of promotion, right? Well, I'll use SOE as an example. If I hire a company to do $1 million worth of promotions in order to let everybody know that we have a Jungle Kit, right? And they make the commercials and they put the commercials out there, and they're showing you, obviously, because you're spending money, that they're doing the thing that you're doing. And then I go out and talk to SOE customers, and they're like, I didn't see the commercials. It's not we need to spend more money. It's we need to find out why they're not specifically targeting the people that want the shit. It doesn't, you know, it's like me seeing Toyota. It's like if Facebook keeps showing me a bunch of Toyota commercials, I'm not going to buy a Toyota.
Why?
Because Nissan's better.
It's not.
It's 100% better. I mean, just go out in the parking lot and take a look at the two trucks. My truck's even taller than that. I mean, Nissan's way better.
Because it's not better, they have to give you a lot more.
It's way better.
Have you seen all those badass little Toyota mini trucks?
No.
Okay, did you see
are you talking about, is this the new Toyota truck that
they won't let in the United States?
That it's only going to be like $10,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually looked it up. They're saying that in 25 we should see them here.
Did you see the shorts I sent you over the last couple days of all the mini trucks?
No.
Okay, so there's a company that does all these like badass vehicles, man, like super high-end custom stuff. So I reached out and I'm like, hey, what kind of mini truck is this? And he goes, it's a Mitsubishi whatever.
Right.
And it's badass, dude. It's got a rack and like super overland, fucking just incredible shit. And he goes, hey, I have a use for your services. I own this other company. He owns Kaizen Foam.
Okay.
And I'm like, Kaizen Foam? I go, I think you know my friend Hank Greenberg owns Blackside Customs. He goes, yeah, I know who he is. He goes, let's talk. And so just from sending that message, he's like, hey, I need you to build some bags because they're putting all these decked drawer systems inside of all their vehicles, and he wants some customization for inside those. I'm like, well, we already have it. Like,
the problem with the mini truck custom mini trucks is the problem with the custom mini trucks is I look at the mini truck, I look at like my mini truck,
yeah,
I love it.
The price, you can do a real one.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like, this is the funnest shit. But the only reason why I love it is because I got it for $4,000.
Right.
Now, once they do all that shit to it, you're like, it's $25,000.
And it only goes 45 miles an hour, and you can't drive it on a highway.
Why would I spend $25,000
It's just
on
so
a mini
fucking
truck?
cool. Because if we did it in a big
cool.
truck,
Yeah.
because if we did it in a big truck and we made social media of it, it wouldn't get any attention. It's because it's the mini truck.
I get me. If I had, if I had a real budget,
That's
would
the whole
for
problem
likes,
of like Alex Hermosi. We could never hire Alex Hermosi to promote our products because he would promote our products and to the point we're out of business because we can't produce the fucking products.
Yeah, it's called the Oprah. It's called the Oprah Winfrey dilemma.
Yes.
If Oprah Winfrey tells her fans,
did you see
need to read this book, then they're not going to have the book.
Did you see the DNC talking about how much we hate millionaires? And
Yeah.
who's there saying it?
Just
Oprah
millionaires.
Winfrey.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the reality
did you see all the boxes?
the reality is, you think about it.
Chris Como said, all of these boxes up here are
millionaires.
$1 million to $5 million. Every
millionaires.
fucking person. Everybody here is a millionaire.
The interesting, I mean, again, it's one of those things that I don't understand is the Democratic Party has turned into the biggest gaslighting organization there is. All they're doing is gaslighting every Democrat by telling them something. They keep telling their constituencies something that their constituencies know is not true. They know it's not true, but they're still going to stand there and go, oh, forget about that. Did you? They know it's not true, but they're going to go, okay. Did you see that? And I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen because when I heard his speech, I'm like, motherfucker, who are you talking about?
Bernie?
No. Did you see Obama? Did you see that Trump has come out? Trump has come out with an ad where it's just Obama talking, and all he's saying is what he said at the DNC, where he's like, we can't afford 4 more years of this buffoonery, like he says it, and then Trump comes on there, I approve this message.
Yeah.
Because again, what Obama was doing was gaslighting the Democratic Party.
Well, the last 4 years has been Obama.
Well, I don't think so. I think Obama has been,
Michelle Obama up there talking about all these millionaires and shit. Did you see the 5 fucking houses she has that are all over fucking $100 million?
They're multimillionaires, So again, to that's why I'm saying they're just gaslighting their constituencies. They think who are they fucking talking to? They're talking to the millionaires that are all up in the fucking balcony. They're not talking about anybody in the cheap
Did
seats.
you so what
Did you see the guy that tried to get the illegal immigrant into the DNC?
No.
They wouldn't let him.
I did see something. Somebody was saying something about Tiger King couldn't get 2 tiger cubs up into the Mandalay Bay, but that dude was able to get all those rifles and fucking thousands of pounds of ammunition up there. But the Tiger King couldn't get 2 tiger cubs in.
Well, okay. You and I both know that we're not even players. Now, the guy,
I think the Tiger King needs to be let out of prison.
The individual, that guy, yeah, he should be let out of prison, whatever. He's the guy that
He can come run my zoo.
That guy in Vegas, he was a player. He gambled thousands and thousands of dollars or millions of dollars in that hotel. Like, he was there all the time gambling in that hotel. He got suites all the time in that hotel. So for the hotel to go out of their way to let him take up his fucking 27 suitcases, you know how it goes.
Okay.
I didn't know he's a player.
Okay.
They're going to let him, and that's why he was able to use the service. He used the service elevator. There's video of, one of the bag boys helping him take his fucking 30 suitcases up to the room because he was a player. Now, I'm going to use us as an example. We're not players. Like, nobody, no hotel in Vegas. I don't have a player's card. Well, maybe MGM Grand, but they're going to be like, that motherfucker never gambles. Like, I don't have a player's card anywhere. I could have got all that shit up in the room.
Well, we did get all that shit.
That's what I'm saying. I could go, I guarantee you, even now, after all that's happened and the heightened security that there is, I could get, I know I could definitely get my normal loadout up into a room and not be asked a question. And I'm not talking about, guys, I'm not talking about like SOTG days where I'm sneaking it up in a light bulb container. I'm talking about rifle locked in a hard case, ammunition on the cart.
We did it.
Camouflage bag.
Now let me say, when we did that, that was 20 years ago.
And it was still legal.
But still, when we go into Atlanta, I got fucking 4 carts on the bellhop. They don't look like they're not rifle cases, but fuck, my wife.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I have to take an extra truck for the shit we haul with us.
We as human beings have a false sense of security in the sense of when someone goes, this is secure. Or, these are the rules, and if you break these rules, you're going to get in trouble. Or we have this false idea that somehow that means that it's really secure, when it's not really secure. It's not really secure. Like, the truth is, if you wanted to go and touch the airfield at Area 51, you could do it.
Come on now.
You could do it. Now they're gonna roll your ass up pretty quick. But if you really wanted to do it, you could go do it.
Did you try to get in there? You were never tasked to get in there?
No, that was just Lawrence Livermore Labs. But you could do it. There are places on that base that is only remote. I don't know if I should be saying this.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, there are places on that base that are only remotely. They use sensors to remotely, monitor, and drones to remotely monitor. A drone can't put you in handcuffs, and neither can a motherfucking sensor. So
you don't think they got drones that'll just shoot your ass?
No. They're not going to shoot somebody.
Have you seen the targeting camera stuff with the paintballs and shit on it for shooting packaged porch pirates or shooting cats and shit in the garden? Have you seen the one where they put the Glock 19 and shit on there?
I've seen the drones flying around shooting the guns.
Yeah,
but no, they're not gonna shoot somebody for hauling ass across the desert towards the thing, unless of course you're in a fucking rental van. But even then, they're gonna be like, "The fuck is this dude doing?" And they're gonna send trucks out.
I don't think it's Area 51 anymore, anyways.
Well,
the real shit's.
The reality is, there's nothing. Area 51 is still a
underground base.
It's still a base, and it still has classified stuff there. So you would get arrested and get fucked. Probably they'd kick you a couple times, I bet, because I bet those contractors never get to see any cool shit.
Did you see the White House said if there's not a peaceful transition, if you guys try to pull a January 6th again, we're going to put you in prison, just like we put all the January 6ers in prison. Does that include the other side also, or is that just for if Trump loses? What if Trump wins? Does that apply for you guys too?
No, it doesn't.
No, of course it doesn't. So what do you think RFK's position is going to be?
What do you mean?
Where do you think Trump will appoint him?
I hope for America he points him to the Food and Drug Administration, but I think for legacy that he should make him the director of the CIA.
And what do you think of Tulsi Gabbard? Where do you think she's going?
Oh man, you know what? I don't know what either one of them have approached the president or the former president with as far as what positions they would like, but Tulsi Gabbard is Secretary of Defense.
What about Vivek?
I don't know. I mean, he's got a lot of I would like. This is just me. I would like Vivek to be in charge. I would like him to be put in charge of education, so that he has to fire himself.
Yeah, because he immediately said we're getting rid of the Board of Education. Yeah. Thomas Massey says that. Massey put forth a bill that literally was like 3 lines. On this date, we will dissolve the Board of Education.
I want him to be in charge of the Board of Education, just so he can fire everybody and then be like, I quit.
That's what he said. He goes, we're going to get rid of half of the government on day 1. And on day 2, we're going to get rid of the other half. And he said, how are you going to do it? He goes, we're going to do it by Social Security numbers. Odd numbers, you're gone. even numbers, you're gone.
I mean, it is what it is. The Department of Education doesn't do anything except buy guns and ammo. So
And harass fucking families.
yeah. So
Same thing the
they
Food
don't
and Drug
need-
Administration
they
started
don't
to
need.
do.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of the Food and Drug Administration from the perspective of
Yeah, if it says that there's fucking chicken in this can, I would rather have chicken.
chicken. But the problem is
That's not what it does.
that's not what they do. The Food and Drug Administration, if there's chicken in this can, and then Tyson's like, does it have to be 100% chicken, or could it be 10% pulpwood? The FDA is like, how much money are you going to pay me?
Yeah,
And
it's
then
all
they're like,
obvious.
yeah, and then they're like, we'll pay you a bunch of money, and then before you know it, you got 10% pulp in there.
10% chicken,
Yeah, 10% chicken,
90%
whatever.
fucking pulp.
So, anyways, I wish the agencies. It's one of those things that the idea behind the agencies, the creation behind and the idea behind it, except for the CIA, the idea and creation of the agencies, there was always a good, well-intentioned reason, but because of how much money is involved in government, all of that's become corrupt.
So if Trump gets back in and says we're going to be oil dependent, we're not relying on the Middle East anymore, we're going to drill Alaska. How long until they can actually turn that on? Or are they just going to fucking keep it fucking held up in court and not do shit, and we're not ever going to see oil come out of Alaska?
We don't need to see oil come out of Alaska. Our energy independence doesn't really rely on Alaska. It's a bunch of leases within the continent of the United States that they're just going to turn on. There's
You think
a
they're
lot.
still there?
Oh yeah. We're sitting on one of the biggest oil reserves.
Right. But I say that because Trump said we're going to use coal, right? When he got in, he turned back on the coal-fired power plants, right? All the reduction. When Biden came in,
They destroyed them.
they destroyed them. Now you couldn't ever build them again. It'd take fucking 20. I mean, look at
It just depends. It depends on this. There's a lot of things that this depends on. If Trump gets in there, if Trump wins the presidency and gets in there, and the same people are steering the ship that were steering the ship when he was president the
correct.
first time,
Yep. Nothing
then
changes.
nothing changes.
It actually gets worse.
No, I don't think it'll get worse, because part of the reason why Trump had such a hard time the first time is instead of putting individuals in positions that were qualified, he picked friends.
Well, he picked
And he's
people
not-
that people he knew told him to pick.
Yeah,
and he
so
said,
he's-
"I made a terrible mistake."
He's not doing that again. He's going to put people in he's going to put people in position that are going to be able to fight that bureaucracy. And so maybe he gets a little bit of control of the ship and is able to steer it a little bit. And maybe those fucking permanent government people are like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go over here and we're going to hang out in the lounge until this 4 years up. And then we'll come out when the 4 years up, because whatever.
That's what we've always done.
It's what we've always done. And he'll be able to get some stuff done. Right. But who knows? I mean, the reality is, what nobody's talking about, not even on the campaign trail, is that Democrats are hurling us headlong into World War III.
Mm-hmm.
So none of that might matter.
What about tariffs on China?
Well, not tariffs on China. What Trump wants to do is go to the way we were before we started taxing everybody, and that was tax all import goods.
Right.
So
which
whether
means
it's-
you don't need income tax.
Yes, whether it's
But he's never said we're going to do away or abolish income tax.
yeah, that's what he was talking about. That's how you get rid of income taxes, by taxing all.
So I heard the
stuff that
one,
comes
but I
in
never
yeah,
heard income tax mentioned.
by taxing all the stuff that comes in the United States.
So the solar
problem,
okay, go ahead.
the problem is our government.
It's never going to let that
Our
happen.
government is an animal that is too big, that needs to be fed constantly. So maybe we get a reduction in taxes, but they're never going to stop taxing us.
Well, it lets you be more than they can't control you then. There are some companies, I don't know if this is known yet, there are some major companies setting up solar and battery production in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They currently use China for manufacturing. And these guys have come out and said that their prices are going to double because of the tariffs and the import fees coming from China. This year, you're going to see all of your solar double, if not triple in cost. So if you can put a system in right now for, let's say you put a small system in that's 10 grand, it's literally going to be $20,000 next year. And that's what they're saying. Now, I always think when people tell you, hey, the prices are doubling, that's because they're looking for more revenue this year for these books, for this tax period. But there does seem to be something to this.
Yeah, but the issue, I would say this. What people really aren't talking about is, I'm just going to call it, not because it is, but because of what it is. The green initiatives.
Oh, it's killing everything.
But it's not that. It's dying. The reason why it's dying is because the solar farms in the fucking California desert are not producing the energy necessary.
The windmills are falling apart.
It is not the revolution that people thought it was. And again, I'm not anti-solar power. I am not. You give me fucking tools or whatever I need that it's going to run off fucking batteries that are charged by the sun. I'm going to a certain extent, I'm going to try my best to buy that shit because I like the idea of not having to plug in and fucking give GE my goddamn money.
Well, so
but
the power,
it just doesn't work on a global scale.
The power companies and the companies and the powers that be, they're all for solar, as long as you have to tie into their system. They want that fucking meter out there.
Well, yeah.
They want you. What they don't want is you to disconnect their shit and still be able to power. Right? You have like state of Tennessee, for instance. Everybody's putting in these tiny houses. And then the mobile home companies just tanked. Like there was no fucking sales, like down by 50%.
Yeah. And
they leaned on the big politicians, and the big politicians said, "Hey, you energy companies, all these individual city energy companies cannot put power to these tiny houses unless they have a Department of Transportation, a dot number on them. So that means it has to be on a frame." Now there's workarounds. This shed here, if we put it on a frame with wheels, it's considered a trailer, we can tie power to it all day long. But we can't tie power to it if it's on the fucking ground. All of our shit happened before any of this shit happened. That all happened like after, middle after COVID. So there's workarounds, but they want you to have to, and now we have a friend that bought, I think she's got 40 acres of property in Tennessee, not here, but in Tennessee. To put power down, she had to get a septic. She's like, I don't need a septic. I just need power to my building. We're not running toilets in the building. We're just, but that's how they do it, right? So you have to have the PERC guy come out, and you have to get a fucking, before the power company will come in. And then the other way is we could take this building, put a slab in, permanently affix it to a slab, then the power company will come in. But they want you to do that. So if you're like, I'm not doing any of that shit, I'm going to put solar in. Well, they very much want you to have to be commingled with them.
Well, again, there is I know everybody wants to, I don't know, you want to think you want to be independent from everything, but there is a certain reality behind having that infrastructure in place.
Sure.
Yeah, it sucks that you have to do the things that you have to do to get that, but there is a certain reality to the infrastructure in the sense of I know that everybody is doing it the same way, right? I know that you had to put in a fucking septic tank, and so your poop's going into the septic tank, and you're, to a certain extent, I know that the electrical lines are going to work because GE is maintaining those electrical lines, even though they have to steal the power from your solar panel. Versus, I put in a tiny house next door, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna live like fucking we did in the cave, Grizzly Adams. I'm gonna shit in a tube, and that tube is gonna be in the pond next door, and you have to smell my poop and piss all the time, right? You would want recourse to do about that. So I understand that. The problem is once we start losing large infrastructure, meaning multiple people buying homes, then those entities don't have people to fucking keep them in business, right? It's a great example is Southern California Edison, right? In California.
Mm-hmm.
They pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, not the electric company, but California, for everybody to get solar panels on their fucking roofs. And the way they did that was like, hey, guess what? You're going to get a check.
You know what the problem with solar panels on the roofs are? The roof always eventually leaks.
Well, the problem with the solar panels on the roofs is that solar panels on the roofs are only good for 20 years. And then you got to replace them. And you can't recycle them.
They're getting better.
I know, but still,
Yeah.
they're only good for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, but then again,
you and I also know a guy who had a well on his property in California.
Yeah,
And
actually two wells.
And the water company came on, made him pay. They trenched a line, put water to his house, made him pay fucking thousands and thousands of dollars for that shit he did not want on his own personal property.
Yes.
And poured concrete in his fucking wells.
That wasn't even the half of it. The half of it was there was a house that was further back on the property. There was a house that was further back on the property, and I think they needed to put in, if I'm not mistaken, 3 poles in order to run electricity to that house. And they were going to charge him for that. Again, but that was the difference between that place unincorporated and that place becoming a real city.
But that's
You're always going to have those growing pains.
And that's the whole thing here. So the feds give every town money to put these 4 lanes through.
But that's all. That's the growing pains of if your place
because
becomes
then they're gonna come through.
That's why it's always,
because we've made this. They're gonna push more bodies in, and then they're going to incorporate.
That's why the best thing to do is to live in a fucking swamp in Louisiana.
Well, I did live in a swamp. I did live in a swamp in Louisiana.
You can do whatever you want.
20 years ago.
Shoot gators.
This place. Nobody wanted this fucking property.
Yeah.
It was overgrown. Like when we first came on the property, there was a real estate sign somebody had painted on a 4x8 sheet of plywood. When we walked on the property, the 4x4s had rotted over and broken, and there were pine trees growing through it. Nobody wanted this shit until we did what we did with it.
Well, I mean, not just what you did with it. There's certain other infrastructure things that have to be put in place in order to make the value of the land that much better.
Yeah.
But that's progress. You can't. I guess you can fault it, but it's progress. It's why if you want a nice place to eat in town, you're not going to have a nice place to eat unless you have the infrastructure and people want to come and.
No, the answer is you make more fucking money and you hire a chef, and then you can have all the whatever you fucking want every night. That's the answer. I don't care about town. When I go in there and I'm around people I don't want to be next to, I don't go to the fucking restaurant.
Well, then you need to move further out.
You're right. So where should we move?
I'm not moving. Or could I? I guess I could. I mean, I guess I could. The one state in the union, especially since it's a business like yours, if I was you, I would look at Kentucky.
There's a lot of property, 90% of Kentucky is unsettled.
Yeah, I would look at Kentucky.
But I wasn't even thinking out of Tennessee.
The reason why I would say Kentucky is.
Let's move where we can fight in the mountains.
You want to move closer to Dolly Parton land, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I do like. Where did I go?
You ever seen?
I went to that waterfall.
Cookville.
You ever seen P&W
And
Gorilla?
I like all the trees in Cookville.
You ever see P&W Gorilla, that channel?
No, maybe.
You ever see Grunt Proof, that channel?
I don't. Maybe.
They're in the mountains. I kind of like their videos.
You
You ever see Grand Thumb? He's in the mountains a lot.
Well, that's because he moved to Montana.
Grand Thumb's in Montana?
Yeah. He bought a ranch, bro. He's a Google him into the.
A kabillionaire?
He's a kabillionaire. He counts. Yeah, he's crazy.
You can get some robot legs?
Hell no. My legs are fine.
Would you do that surgery over again?
No, I would not do surgery over again.
Every time I hear somebody that's got that sinus surgery, I'm like, does it work? And he's like, I would never do it again.
I don't know anybody that, again, my experience is military.
Remember we had those 3 orthopedic dudes sitting right here, and they're like, an exploratory surgery is a path to surgery.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's gotten a surgery for something and then went and was like 5 years later going, that was the best idea I've ever had. They're always like, and I actually, when I went, where did I go? I don't know. I think it was my fucking knee doctor. he was saying that any major surgery, he's like, any major surgery that you're going to have, he goes, push it out as far as you possibly can. Just push it out as far as you, don't do it immediately. Let it go as far as you possibly can, because the technology is getting so much better that
robots and shit now.
well, they're going to be a lot of the stuff, they can be very less invasive and do less damage to do the thing that they want to do. So I don't know, whatever. I mean, I'm still relatively young, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I'm getting old.
I look at these athletes that get these injuries, right? And they fix them, and then all of a sudden next season they're back playing again. But I question how much of that is actually 100% repaired and healed versus just we've given you all these drugs so that you're actually doing more damage. You just don't feel it. So we can can extend your career another year.
They do a lot of damage. But again, is that a lot of times you can't just be like, oh, it's the NFL or it's the coaches or whatever. It's the player too.
Yeah.
He's got a fucking $20 million contract that he has to fulfill.
Yeah,
and
he's going to make it work.
We can
tolerate some more pain.
When you're looking like your contract is not going to be fulfilled because your knee, and then there's
and you got to pay part of it back.
There's a dude over there going, all we got to do is put this in there. You won't feel a fucking thing. You're going to take the needle. You're going to take the needle because you like the girls, the cars, the houses, the money. I'd do it for an M1 Abrams.
Is that all you cost?
M1 Abrams. That's it.
Does it have to run?
Too.
Could it be a K5 Blazer with some wood panels on it? Look like a Humvee?
I would take the Chieftains that they mocked up in the 90s to make that Purple Heart movie with
How much
Meg Ryan.
is a Chieftain? You can get a Chieftain for like $100,000.
Yeah, they're kind of that's.
Would you just take a Chieftain?
Only if it was mocked up like an M1 Abrams.
What if it's
they just use plywood for that?
What if it's just a Chieftain?
I mean, it'd be cool, but
you'd be happy with a Chieftain.
I would want to mock it up like an M1 Abrams. I don't
look
want
up how much a Chieftain tank costs.
I don't want a Chieftain. I don't want it to look like a Chieftain because, what's his name? Diesel.
Whistling Diesel.
Whistling Diesel's got one.
We could probably just get his.
Well, then,
he's probably over it.
I bet he is over it. I haven't seen it.
He's probably got an M1 Abrams.
Have you seen him with the Tesla?
The Tesla truck?
Yeah.
No.
Oh God, you got to watch it. He's fucking taking the Tesla truck apart by hand.
Why?
Because he was doing a Ford F-150 versus the Tesla truck, and damn, he did some crazy shit to the F-150. Like he did some shit. He lifted the F-150 up by the rear, had a ball hitch on it, used the tractor to lift it up like 10 feet in the air, and was just dropping it on the ball hitch. Boom. Boom. Like he did some. There was one video where, I just saw a couple clips of it, but he's like,
did you do that to the Tesla truck?
Yeah, he goes over to the Ford F-150 and he's like, fucking kicks the mirror. He's like, let's see if I can knock this motherfucker off. Kicks it and hits it and does something else. And then he's like, it's pretty strong. And then he goes over to the Tesla truck and kicks the mirror and it just fucking flies off. And then there's the stainless steel that's over the doors. He's like looking at it. You see him looking at it. Now he's already done a bunch of shit to these trucks. Like they are already kind of fucked up. But he's looking at it. And he's like, no. He just reaches over there and pulls all that fucking off the truck. Like if I was Elon Musk, I'd be like, bro.
Pierre had 2 Teslas, and they weren't like the inexpensive ones. There was always some shit like they whistled because the trim, the fucking weather stripping, or there was always something wrong with them.
You can't. Here's the thing. Elon is a fucking genius, and the reality is he's revolutionizing how cars are being made, blah blah blah, but he's starting from zero, and he's starting from zero, and he's trying to compete against companies that have building cars for fucking 200 years. You can't. There's no way out of the gate your fucking shit is going to be squared away.
He needed something for one of his batteries, and like the government cock-blocked him on it, so he bought a mining company to be able to mine his own elements. How much is the Chieftain?
So when they first were brought out, they were $140,000. That was brand new when they came out.
But how much are they now?
Now you can get a working one for $16,000 to $50,000.
16?
16 to 50 is their
in the United States?
50.
Yeah.
In the U.S.
Are you sure? A tank?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Let's get 2. You said 100 grand.
Did you see the? You can
sell a couple extra jungle kits.
You can buy the Toyota mini trucks for like just a couple grand. There's all these websites of these trucks for sale in Japan. So you buy them,
and then you got to have them shipped here.
Yeah, and you're about $4 grand to get one shipped over here.
Because
this one with everything working, a 1960 FV 4201 Chieftain tank for $77,000 was sold.
Where? Inside the United States?
Bakersfield, California.
man, that'd be so cool.
How would we get it? You have to come on a
Truck,
train.
yeah. Truck or train? Maybe probably train.
Drive it.
That's the best way. That's how
Drive
Billy got
it?
his Sherman's.
I found something that was super cool.
You're,
It was
like 200 and I think you're like with that tank you're probably 200 and somewhere 280 290 miles, and then you have a 400 or 300 gallon tank you got to fill.
yeah.
That's good.
Go run your credit card 10 times in a row to get gas. They'll cut your shit off.
Yeah, they're not going very far.
We tell my companies, hey, we're traveling. I have 3 vehicles. You're going to see us stop twice to fill up 3 vehicles. This is our point of destination. Don't lock
Turn
my
off the
cards
cards
off.
up, yeah.
And we've noted it right here every fucking time. At the second gas station, the cards don't run after that when we get into wherever we're going. We get the first fill. Remember, every single time. So, have you had a chance to mess with the jungle kit at all? Have you got your kit all together?
All took it together, and I've been actually wearing it.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know if anything's wrong with it.
I don't think there is.
I don't know if anything's wrong with it. Yeah, I know you won't do it, and there's no reason for you to do it. The reality is there's 100% no reason for you to do it. But on the original butt packs, on the rim, where the edge tape is, right? But on the inside, they had holes, like 4 of them.
What are you talking about?
So on the original butt packs,
The issue butt packs, not our butt packs.
Not your butt packs. I just saw this the other day, and I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool if I could do that. But there's really no logical. What I'm gonna tell you is there's no logical.
So you want to be able to drawstring, not just the fly, but
I would love a drawstring on the butt pack.
there is a drawstring.
No, there's not. No drawstring
on the fly.
No, I want a drawstring on the butt pack because when I close the lid every fucking single time, butt pack is open.
Well, you're doing it wrong.
No.
I just need an army guy to show you how to do this.
I shouldn't have to play with it. I should be able to just and then close the lid and not have to worry about it filling up like a goddamn swimming pool.
What?
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
And
you have a broken butt pack.
Anyways, on the edge tape on the lid, right?
Okay.
So where the lid is on the edge tape, I want 4 little your drain
double zeros, the little ones.
I don't know how little. Yeah, kind of little. 4 of them, so I can hang my bayonet on it.
Shut the fuck up.
100%. I saw the old butt pack and I'm like, oh god, I forgot that's where they hung the bayonet.
Yeah, they also kept that stupid first aid kit there.
My first aid kit is on there
with the plastic box in it.
Hell yeah.
What's in there?
An original U.S. Marine Corps fucking first aid kit. 2 pressure dressings.
Snicker bars.
2 pressure dressings.
Man, every time
some iodine, fucking some little Band-Aids.
Every time we're at an antique store and I see one of those old kits, I buy it. And it's got all the cardboard boxes. And people are like, is it in there? I go, I don't know. If we pull it out, we can never put it back in there. But you know it's there, though. You can smell the iodine.
I put the first aid kit. That's a perfectly good first aid kit.
Do you have smelling salts?
I do believe that kit comes with one.
It does.
1 or 2.
It comes with a box of them. There's like 6 of them in there. Those little ampules you snap that are inside the cloth.
That's the big. You're thinking of the big one. The little Marine Corps one, I think, only has 1 or 2 in there.
You ain't gonna die if you ever get hurt with that.
No,
that's not gonna save you.
That's all you need.
No, it's not all you need.
It is 100% all you need. As a matter of fact, if I take a not current issued, let's say 2008 issued med kit and the 1960s med kit, and I lay them all out, the only difference is going to be the new issue has more shit in it. That's it. as far as bandages and all that shit, it's all exactly the same.
Because all the more shit is the shit that'll save your life. Those Band-Aids weren't saving your life.
I promise you, the U.S. military goes through more fucking Band-Aids.
Sure it does.
Than they do fucking Quick
They should not be in your IFAC.
They should be right there. In
nope.
That
It should be in somewhere else in your butt pack.
No.
You'll like the new butt pack we're doing.
I like the new one. Is it going to have 4 little, so I can hang a bayonet on there?
Whatever you want. I'll put them in yours.
I want to hang my
Bring
bayonet.
it in. We can put them in.
Even though I don't have a rifle. Oh no, the M16A4.
Do you not have a Strider bayonet?
I don't have a Strider bayonet.
That M9 one Dwayne did?
Yeah.
Did you see I saw him live the other night. You know he's doing something with staccato?
Yeah, He did a whole series of knives that go with the pistols.
That's very cool.
Yeah, he was with Staccato at Blade Show. They were there. They had, a bunch of guns and
very cool. I love that the gun companies are starting to come into it.
I do like that the gun companies are coming, but you can tell Blade Show's not ready for gun companies.
No, they don't like them
because
they didn't like a lot of the companies that were there.
Literally standing in the booth right next to Staccato, guys were picking up the guns and they, I believe if I heard them right, Staccato, you guys know better than I do, but I believe if I heard the guys right, that they actually took the firing pins out of the guns.
Because the gun company...
No, that they just did it to do it, right? That they just took the firing pin. I don't believe any of the guns that they had at the show had firing pins in it. But literally, people were, I'm in the booth right here. I'm in the booth right here, and people are like racking the action and shit, and then going, click, click, all fucking day. I'm like...
Well, every SHOT Show, somebody fucking...
I know.
Launches a round off.
The reason why you have to have a fucking zip tie and all that other bullshit in there, but it's amazing how people who, because I'm assuming if you're, well, maybe not. It's amazing how many people when they believe that they're in an environment where that can't happen, they throw the safety shit right out of the window and they're willing to point the guns right at you.
Lee Tardy Oswald.
Okay.
The kid who shot at Trump.
Okay.
Right, looks a little retarded, fetal alcohol syndrome, whatever. You know all the pictures.
He was transitioning.
Yes. Yeah, all the pictures that were out there was him at 16 years of age. His current age of 21, 22, whatever, were all him as a girl.
Yeah, he was transitioning.
Yeah, did you see the parents just hired like a super high power, high dollar lawyer?
Did you see the crazy thing is not any of that. I don't, whatever. Okay. You want to be a girl or a guy or a monkey or I don't care.
See the more shit coming out about Secret Service?
The crazy thing was, but think about this. He's in a BlackRock commercial.
Yep.
And then they have a fucking picture of him with the CEO of BlackRock.
Yep.
So how does just this regular kid, they have a picture of him with the CEO of BlackRock with a fucking gun in his hand?
Yeah.
I mean,
how about the phones, the other phone they got into, and the apps out of Ireland and all these other places and shit, this encrypted messaging services, and then the phone messages and all the pings back to the FBI office and shit.
Well, the building next door to the FBI.
Right.
I don't know.
My router says.
Is that me?
That's your phone. Oh. Travis ain't calling him.
I was like, why is he calling you? We're going to have to take
a 2-second
break. Anyways.
All right, we're running on about 2 hours here.
Yeah, this is way too long. People, nobody's going to hear the end of this.
Yeah, nobody cares about anything else. They don't listen to this shit.
Nobody's going to hear the end of this shit.
All right, well, let's get off of here and we'll go to Patreon.
People love Patreon.
Now, over on Patreon, SOE Tactical Gear is a Patreon. On Patreon, the videos we build there are very similar to these videos, but they are off questions that people ask. So people ask us questions. We answer the questions, give as much actionable information as possible, or our thoughts and ideas. Brandel, there's another wasp right there in the same spot. You might want to vacuum that up. So, guys, thanks for jumping on here to the Pulling the Thread podcast. There is a membership here. It's $10. That's how you get to watch these videos. If you're seeing this after the fact, you're seeing it months and months after the fact, and it came out months ago. If you would like to be a member, with that membership, you get these videos as we produce them within 2 to 3 days, 3 days typically.
I'd like to see that.
Of us putting them out. And then Amanda and I, my wife and I, we do a video Q&A. You ask us questions, and that's homesteading, medicinal things, all kinds of whatever it is, families, raising children, whatever, business. And that's $10. Patreon is $5. for $5. You ask Jeff and I questions. Amanda and I have been doing some videos there as well. Man, it's just crazy today.
Fucking crazy up in here.
So we will see you guys next week.
From